The Square Ball Podcast.
Hi there, welcome to the final summer roundup of this summer.
That's what it's been, correct? Well identified.
Thank you very much. Season's my speciality. Dan Moylan here with Michael Normanson and Dean Smith as we do the final summer roundup. The show is brought to you by Levi Solicitors. I don't know if you caught the suggestion on Wacko. Somebody suggested we maybe use the summer to brush up on the standard of this read.
Right. Why? What's wrong with it?
To make it better.
Well, I tell you what, I've got a personal story here. It's not very interesting, really. I've just been on holiday, as you know.
Another one?
Yeah, with another family, you know, that kind of a thing. They bought a house. Do you know which solicitor they used?
Didn't know you were a swinger.
Hey. Oh, come on now. It's a nice family holiday. But, yeah, Levi Solicitors is who they used. Got a discount through this podcast. Not actually a Leeds fan, but, you know, we'll allow it as a friend of mine. And they said it was very, very good.
I don't think they limit themselves to Leeds fans, do they?
I guess not, but
they are Leeds fans.
Exactly.
We are Leeds fans.
It's better if you are.
Yeah, Will's Probate Conveyancing. So they use the conveyancing services, presumably?
They did, yes.
Wow. So that's over 601 houses they've sold now, isn't it? Hey?
Correct.
There we go. LeviSolicitors.co.uk/the square ball for details of the 10% discount on your legal fees. On with the show. 4 days to go. And we will wrap up the tail end of the summer, which is Valencia. You weren't there. Obviously, you were off doing whatever it is, car keys in the ashtray, whatever it was you were up to when you were in Poland. Dean, did you catch any of this?
I didn't know. I was on a stag do with a lot of Derby fans, with a lot of West Ham and Tottenham fans. So I had a terrible weekend. But a really nice part of it was checking the score on Twitter and relaying back that we are beating a team from La Liga and we're going up as fucking champions.
Yeah, I was there among the 33,000. That's great, isn't it? For a pre-season friendly.
That would have been, in the Bates era, the highest attendance for the season.
Yes. It was very yellow, is what I will say. There was a lot of yellow in the crowd. And no, it was good. There was a fair amount of needle in this game, and it made it more fun for it. There were shades of, I don't know, Rob's written on the blog about David Batty and Sampdoria in the Makita tournament in 1992, in that summer, when there was a brilliant amount of needle, when I think David Batty was pissing off Roberto Mancini something chronic to the point where the ref said, look, it's pre-season friendly. Do you want to maybe take him off, Mr. Wilkinson, so he doesn't get sent off? And Howard Wilkinson politely declined the opportunity to do that. And
David was having such a nice time.
Exactly. You can't spoil his fun, can you? And it was a little bit like that on Saturday. Not quite as bad, not quite as kicky, but there was a fair amount of kicking going on.
However, that filthy prick injuring our new right back, he was right to be sent. He should have been sent off for that. Because he should have been sent. I should have been booked for that, and then because I've watched the highlights.
Was it the same guy?
I didn't see the full game. Yeah, because he booted Bogle. Then
Rafa Mir.
Yeah, then Ampadu went over to have a word with him about it, and then he shoved him in the face, and for which Ampadu also got booked for being shoved in the face.
Yeah,
it seemed a bit unfair.
But it was interesting. In the first half, the ref was trying to do that reffy thing of not booking people because it's a pre-season friendly. But then he reached a point where I think, and this is where refs I think often make a rod for their own back by different things being applied, different standards being applied to different things at different times in the game. So in the early part of the game, he's trying to not give out any cards, and then Willy Gnonto inexplicably found himself as the last man at some point when they broke. I think it might have been one of our corners or whatever it was, but Willy was like up at the back, and he fouled their attacker. They were well annoyed, got their free kick. Game went on. Second half, started dishing the cards out. Rafa Mir gets sent off, and their players were saying, but you didn't do anything in the first half. You could see him pointing to the area of the pitch where Gnonto had fouled him in the first half and no action had been taken. And yet in the second half, he started dishing cards out.
Well, I think Gnonto didn't deserve a red card, but their guy did. Would be my perfectly unbiased assessment of it.
Yeah, it's tough shit, innit? What happened. It's all good. Part of the highlights, one thing that I really enjoyed seeing was Ampadu really, really getting into his captaincy role, going over there, getting in people's faces, getting his face pushed. I think he's going to really excel in that role this year.
It was nice to see a footballer receiving a face push as well, and rather than going down, he did a. What are you done that for?
Yeah,
was his reaction to it, which is right.
Had it been next week against Portsmouth, you wonder if does he go down?
I'm just picturing the the Preston player when Melier gave him that little shove in the face, and he went down as if he'd been decapitated.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think it was a fair enough sending off, and some nice goals in it as well.
I thought we looked really, really good. We looked sharp. Obviously, we're a week further on in our pre-season than I think Valencia are, but I'm taking this as evidence that we're probably good enough for the Champions League.
Yeah, I mean, Valencia themselves not in the Champions League as such.
Yeah, but you've got to remember my frame of reference is going back to like 2000, 2001,
Yes.
whenever it was that we were in the Champions League and getting so far in that tournament. So I'm seeing this as a continuation of that.
Okay, that seems fair enough.
Yeah. But no, we were good. Good goal, good team goal for the Joseph goal, the opener. And didn't he take it well as well?
Really nice. Good sort of shielding of it as well from defenders around him. I thought that was nice. He's looking good, isn't he, this pre-season?
He's looking really sharp, like the running that he's making, running in behind, just occupying people. He's kind of doing what Bamford's good at, but he's also scoring the goals so far.
He's got a confidence about him, hasn't he, I think is the thing. He looks like he's desperate for this season to get going, which I think is nice. Whereas sometimes you feel with Bamford, it's been a bit, well, he's been injured, hasn't he, going into the last couple. You're like, just once he gets back, it'll be fine. He'll hopefully be fine. He might be fine once he's back. Maybe, if he can stay fit for a bit and score a goal, maybe, and we'll see. Whereas if you get the feeling with Joseph, he's just desperate to score on the opening day and go on and, get 30 this year.
I'd accept that.
Me too.
But
No, you wouldn't. Get 40. We've been talking about it. He's going to get 40 goals this season. You swore by it.
No, I'd accept 30. I want 40.
I was going to say before Michael said it, he just looks so confident. And that's what you really want from your number 9. If you're playing one up front, you want somebody just to lead that line in the way that he is really trying to do. And especially, we're going to come on to talk about Somerville going, but Somerville had that swagger, that confidence about him. And if Matteo Joseph wants to take that energy from Somerville and lead the line with that, especially with a very important number on his back, we did a whole show about it, number 19, especially as a Spaniard, then to have that little pep in his step, I'm all for it. Keep going.
Yeah, it was excellent. Jorginho involved in the build-up for that, with some little flicks and the through ball as well. He was just his usual, I don't know, sort of magic, silly puppy with a balloon self at times. Frustrating, gave the ball away sometimes in areas you don't want him to. Thankfully, we didn't get punished. Thankfully, there's no consequences to any of this. But that goal, I mean, I'm not kidding when I say it felt to me like you had 33,000 people who just burst into laughter when that went in. Like, he's just done the thing.
It's weird how his finishing is so often terrible. It's almost like because it's too simple for him sometimes to just kick it like hard into a corner. Whereas there, when he's at a bit of a tough angle, there's a couple of men on the line.
He's put a man on his arse.
And there's kind of just a spot in the net he can hit that'd be funny. And he's able to do that because there's something in his brain that connects it and he's like, oh, it's like a trick, is this? I'm going to do it.
The best thing about that goal was the two defenders running towards the line, looking lost and swimming and looking up to the sky going, oh, it's going over me.
There was one of them who looked like he was going to catch it. Yeah. It's like, it's even gone through my hands, the bastard. But yeah, just such great fun. And he looked like he was having fun. He looks ready to hit the ground running again. And I think it spoke volumes about just the overall feeling of love towards him. And that when he got taken off towards the back end of the game, him and Farker just both laughed and had a cuddle, which is how I feel about him. It's just, there's this weird like paternal pride. I just enjoy watching him having a really, really nice time. And he's staying forever, isn't he?
When's the window shut?
Another few weeks, yeah. Another few weeks.
But it's fine. Yeah, I get the feeling he will stay. Well, he doesn't seem to have a clause anyway, which is the main...
Or if he does, it's very high.
Yeah, it's possibly the thing. And there's not much point in us selling him for financial fair play purposes because we've paid a lot for him in the first place. So there's, all that side of stuff should mean he's safe-ish. He's so expensive we have to keep him. Speaking of which, how was Brendan Aronson?
Well, we'll come on to that in a second. I just wanted to ask you first, have you seen Georgie's video yet on YouTube?
I've not. I've seen people linking to it, but no, I've not watched the
I would
thing.
urge you to watch it. It's about 18, 19 minutes.
Right.
You can, if you like, watch the opening bit, skip past the bit in Germany or whatever, and jump to it's about 12 minutes in or something like that, to his move to Leeds, where he was saying the fee weighed him down completely. And people started saying he's not worth the money that we've paid for him. And it just completely, it drowned him, and he couldn't perform, as it were.
Oh, bless him.
Yeah, but now he's older, he's wiser, he's 22 now, he's no longer 20, not a young man anymore.
I think he's going to have a good season.
Yeah. I'd like him to score a few more. What do you think?
I think so, but I think we said this on a podcast a little while ago. If he does keep repeating that kind of finish that he had against Valencia, then by January he will have attracted a lot of attention if he carries on playing the way that he does in the number 10, but also adds finishes to his play. I mean, I sound like the fearful Leeds fan, but we've been doing this for a long time, where we love something and then it goes. I hope that he prices himself out of any move just because of what we paid for him. But long may it continue where he's having loads of fun in a Leeds shirt. My God, what a beautiful boy. And
what I will say is, going to this game on Saturday, it's reignited my desire to go against Portsmouth. I'm like, I'm so ready for this. I didn't realise how much I've missed it. I was happy to leave football alone, I think, for the summer, which I sort of broadly did. We were saying, like, over the Euros, I struggled to maintain a level of interest that I normally would for a tournament. But yeah, being back in Elland Road, seeing them all, seeing the yellow shirt, and there being no jeopardy as well. Your optimism is never higher than, like, right now, this week, heading into the start of the season. Even though there have been challenges, obviously, haven't there? Like, PSR and the sales and all that sort of stuff. But still, being back in there just reminding me of the very thing that we love.
And as well, we've had some terrible pre-seasons where all the transfer business has been bad. And I've still gone into the opening day thinking, you never know. This might just work. Maybe all these new players that we've signed are going to be good. But I think the lack of churn this year actually is probably going to be quite a distinct advantage over this point last year.
Yeah, no, very much so.
Well, and we've won every game so far this pre-season. So, the optimism will never be higher because we've beaten some decent enough sides, playing some decent enough football. Just going back to Jorginho's goal, it was really nice to see him playing 1-2s with our false 10 Firpo, who was up there again for some reason. We were playing a back five as far as I'm aware, but he was there still. And that all bodes well for a really fun season.
How was Bogle before he went off injured?
Good. Looks like just a really steady, good right back. Weirdly, will probably offer more at right back than Archie Gray did because it's not his natural position. It looks like a natural fit there. There was kind of a collective, oh no, when he went down, but as Farke said, it looks just like a bit of a bang in a dead leg. So hopefully that won't keep him out for longer than 2 or 3 months.
Weeks, not months.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
But no, he's set for Saturday, and he said he's got no particular doubts about him for Saturday. But no, I thought he was really capable. And you could tell, like, say, just bombing up on the overlap and making all those runs in tandem with Dan James, it looked like he'd played there all his life, which I suppose in many senses he has.
He has, yeah.
He has, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he does. But yeah, Aronson and Verba, what do you think of them getting booed? And they got some cheers as well, I will say that. Like, it was a mixture of both. And my take on it was that Aronson was putting himself about a bit. He looks desperate to impress. Verba just kind of looks a little bit sheepish and low-key sad, I suppose.
I think it's fair enough that they get some boos, and probably they need to be reminded of it for at least a bit. That you've got some debts to repay here. Don't think you can just come back and this is all going to be fine.
You need to know what you've done.
Yeah, they're in the spare room for a few months, is what I'm saying. It's one of those.
Yeah, I think it'd be weird if nobody acknowledged it.
Are you back in the marital bed now, by the way? Or does it depend who comes round?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
If nobody acknowledged it at Elland Road, it would be strange. If there was just the numbers went up on the substitutions and nobody referenced the fact that you guys fucked off last year, it would be strange. So I think they would have accepted that and anticipated that. I think that because Aronson has tried to do interviews and talk about how much he wants to play for Leeds, he will then have to clearly put himself about because he's made his bed. He's now going to lie in it. Because we've not really heard anything from Verba, that's a slightly strange position for him to be in, because is he still trying to get out the door? He's not going to take Strauch's position, I wouldn't have said, so he's got to start from the bench probably and work his way into the team. So keeping his head down and being quiet at this point is probably wise either way, even if he is angling for a departure or if he wants to try and make his place in the team.
Yeah, I think they've got to just soak him up for a bit, just get on with it, and if Aronson scores, just celebrate a goal as well. Do not under any circumstances do any ear cupping, fingers in ears, none of that. Just celebrate a goal nicely. Run back to the centre circle, get on with it.
Yep.
Do another one.
I think they must understand that credit has to be earned back.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't boo my own players. I just stayed silent on it. I didn't applaud them on. I just sat back and just applauded the players off. But then that was that. They came on. I've got nothing to say on the matter because I don't want to boo my own players. But I understand people who have done. Like you say, it's basically saying look, you might think you're bigger than Leeds United when we got relegated. And even if you're right, you're wrong. That's what it feels like to me. It's like, this is our club, and it's the biggest club in the world.
Yeah. And I know
even though we're not.
And I know you did get a move, like in Aronson's case, he got a move to a Champions League team.
Yeah.
Subsequently nearly relegated him. But at the time he got the move, they'd had a good season, hadn't they? So you can see on paper it was a good move for him. But, don't expect people in Elland Road to be pleased you've got a good move.
And he acknowledged that in the interviews he did in Germany, didn't he?
Yeah.
When we were out there on the secret tour. Whereas Verber, I think, declined the opportunity to speak to anyone, which, as you say, Dean, there's merits to it both ways. But Verber, I thought, sort of carried himself with the air of a man who said he's just popping out for a pint, but he's come home at like 1 a.m. having had a skinful. And again, going back to the spare room analogy, he's very much in there on that night. Yeah, he looked sheepish, although he looked pretty tidy. But then we looked pretty tidy at the back, full stop. Big sexy pirate looking good as well.
Excellent. So, not a single issue you foresee?
Can't see any. We're going to do a predictions show in a couple of days' time, sort of Thursday-ish, where we'll preview the start of the season, preview the Portsmouth game, and we'll make some predictions. So let's not go neck on the line just yet. But first is all I'm saying.
Well, you've already said first. 40 goals for Joseph, 20 for Jorginho.
I did send a message to somebody saying we would be promoted by game, I think it was 39 or 40 this season. And then after going to Elland Road on Saturday, revised my prediction to 35.
Okay.
Promoted with 11 games to go.
Okay.
So
you can have about 100 points by that stage, can't you? I guess.
Yeah, so spoiler alert, that's what's coming up on your preview show this week. Cool. But no, I feel good. I feel good about it. But we'll lean into that properly as the week goes on. In terms of transfers in them, Jonathan Rowe at Norwich is the big one that's been talked about at the minute with the departure of Somerville. Do you want to talk about Somerville first before we get on to Rowe, or which way around do you want to do it?
Well, I mean, one of them's happened, hasn't it? So probably get Somerville out of the way.
Which we have done.
Well, yeah, he's got himself out of the way.
Exit clause. Yeah,
I'm sure we'd heard rumours of this, but then given it how low it seems to have been.
Yeah, because we did pick up on this, didn't we? Like we heard a whisper about it months ago.
But then it's like, well, if it was 25 million, there'd have been like 8 or 9 teams in for him. You would have thought.
But it depends, I suppose, if we wanted it up front and what the clause was and whether we wanted to get
I guess if you can stipulate the terms of it, maybe it limits you a bit more.
But there's reporting that we've asked West Ham to sign an NDA. I don't know if that's presumably to like protect their negotiating position as we're trying to bring players in. Because people know how much money we've got in the market, having sold Gray for, 35-40 million, and then Somerville for this plus add-ons.
I thought rule 1 of an NDA was you not to talk about NDAs.
Right.
So we've talked about this NDA.
Need to speak to Levi solicitors, don't we? But 25 million, it doesn't feel like enough now. It feels like enough based on the time that he signed the contract, which was it 2022 when he did that? When he had barely set foot in the first team at that point, had he? So you kind of understand it. It's just a shame we've been caught out in that. I think on the flip side of this, we are using the very same sort of problem to our advantage where Nonto's concerned, because he's still got 3 years left on his deal. He's on low wages as far as we understand it. We're essentially keeping him hostage at Elland Road.
I'm fine with that.
As punishment for his want-away behaviour. But so we're using that to our advantage, whereas Somerville has used his to his advantage.
Well, how much did Dewsbury Hall go for?
Was that about 30? Have I misremembered
Something like that.
I mean, it's Leicester and Chelsea. I'm not that bothered. But but they got, it's not the worst fee, is it? But I think for Somerville.
But I would say that Somerville outperformed Dewsbury Hall last season in the Championship. And so just on purely simple maths, looking at 25 and 30 and thinking, well, we've got the wrong end of the deal there. I think that may seem quite low in the next couple of years if he kicks on in the way that he could do. He might not, but he might do, and I think we might be licking our wounds a little bit in 2 or 3 years.
So we need him to get capped for the Netherlands first, and then his career to plummet. So get capped means we get the add-ons.
Not get shot.
No, hell no. God, no. I'm not advocating that.
Okay.
No. So he gets a Netherlands cap, plays an international in the orange shirt, but then his career just goes on the slide after that.
All right.
Is that fine?
Yeah. Yes. ACL in the. I
don't be starting him. I just hope he just falls down the leagues.
Okay.
Unless he wants to come back to us in some manoeuvre because he's dead good, then fine.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it, how there's not there's not an awful lot of affection for Somerville in some ways, is there? Like, if you look at Ruter, had a far worse season than Somerville, pure numbers-wise, but it finished the season with everyone loving him. Somerville, everyone was a bit, I don't know. It's always felt a bit like he...
Well, the phrase
he maybe doesn't love being a...
Yeah, I was going to say the phrase that we've used at times about this sort of post-Bielsa era is transactional. It's always felt a little bit like that with Somerville. Maybe because he got a little bit of a reputation, I think, when he was in the 21s of being a bit of a dick. Then he wanted the number 10 shirt, which he was absolutely justified in taking, as it turned out, in the end. And then going off back to the Netherlands for his birthday when he'd been told not to. Although that was quite funny in the context of Jesse Marsh just being completely ignored on that front. So there's always been a kind of I suppose a subtext, an undercurrent of him being a bit of a dick. As you said, though, you sometimes need a bit of a dick in your team, don't you? Like somebody with that swagger and that confidence.
Well, he backed it up last year, didn't he? Because he scored absolutely loads of brilliant goals, loads of assists, was a Championship Player of the Year. Yeah, you couldn't really fault his performances last year. I guess towards the end, you could say he didn't step up in big moments, but then again, none of them did. So, and we don't still hold it against like Joe Rodon for not scoring a goal, do we, in the playoff final? It's just, it felt like maybe Somerville would, but he didn't.
Key question though: does he go down now as an auto triumph?
He has to.
He has to, yeah.
Big profit.
Although it was, I think, was it Craig Dean who's the young international scout?
Right.
Who was, obviously working under Orta's stewardship. So if you want to remove credit from Victor Orta,
I'm happy to do so.
Then fine.
And we can officially do that here, I think. We can.
That's the ruling.
I believe so, yeah. That's what it says on the door.
So well done, Craig Dean.
Well done.
Yeah, but no, I think it is. It has to overall go down as a triumph, doesn't it? And it offsets any failures you might have with other players.
Not any failures.
Some failures.
It offsets a failure.
No, I meant particularly, I didn't mean like JKA or anything like that. I meant just like hoovering up a lot of young players. And if, as it looks like, Joseph works out, Somerville works out, Strauch's worked out, suddenly there's a number of them starting to accumulate. Whereas, Sam Greenwood hasn't particularly worked out well. A number of others have kind of just disappeared off the radar. But I suppose it is a numbers game, isn't it? If you look at what bloody like Man City do, just farming hundreds and hundreds of youngsters, and Chelsea as well. Just speaking of Chelsea, by the way, you mentioned them there. Isn't it funny how they're not good? I don't know if you...
Whether they're pointing at a bold fraud.
No, I was going to come on to that and hand over to the expert on this. But no, I watched their game against Man City in the States, the pre-season friendly. Man City put out somewhere between a second and a third team, like about a 2.5 team.
Calvin get a game?
Yeah, he was at centre-back. He played well.
Oh, I saw some stuff about him playing centre-back.
Yeah, he looked a lot more like his old self. But Chelsea's team was probably not a full-strength side, but there were a lot of first-team players in that. And Man City murdered them.
It's hard to know with Chelsea as well if it's the first team, because
so many of them.
Because I don't recognise most of the names anyway, and you just go, you sort of Google as you watch him.
Yeah.
Oh, they paid 40 million quid for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's absolutely nuts what they've done. But yeah, they're defending like with a really high line. I don't think anyone seems particularly overly enamoured with it. It'd be funny if they got relegated. If they finish below Leicester.
They can't get relegated.
Can they not?
No.
Do you think Maresca will last the season?
No, absolutely no chance.
Christmas?
Yeah. If that. I won't be surprised if there's... I mean, if you look at the coverage we've given Chelsea over the last couple of years, they want managers sacked all the time. And like managers with an actual track record as well in the past. Whereas Maresca's he's basically good, like Sean Dyche. He's got a team up from the Championship. And that's it.
Damned by fame.
And he's got Pep's phone number. So, well done, I suppose. But I don't think he'll last very long.
I think he'll go in February. I think Todd Bowley will give him another 100 million quid to spend in January. He'll lose the first 2 games of February and he's out.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting. He was saying there were comments that I saw repeated on Twitter. Of course, I'm having a say on transfers because why wouldn't I? I don't want players who don't fit the system that I'm trying to play. So you wonder if there's just that little bit of friction there. But it'll be interesting charting their downfall anyway. I hope it happens because they've pulled out all the PSR shenanigans and chicanery they possibly could with selling hotels to themselves or out of the group or whatever.
And they basically forced Conor Gallagher to leave as well, which was the other thing.
Yeah.
Have you seen all that?
Yeah, going to Adelaide.
Yeah, basically said he can't train with the first team or speak to anyone unless he goes.
Thankfully, Leeds would never do anything like that.
Well.
So yeah, Somerville's gone. We are now being linked to Jonathan Rowe, as we mentioned. Did you hear him flirting with us, the sexy little devil? I think he was speaking to Football Daily. I've got the clip if you want to hear it.
How old is this clip?
Let's assume yesterday.
Okay, cool.
No, I don't know. Fairly recent, but let's hear it.
In your first few months as a professional footballer, you played at Anfield, you played at Elland Road, you played at Old Trafford. Was there any particular ground that stood out to you?
Elland Road had the most noise that I can remember. That was a crazy game. Even though we lost, I was in awe of like the atmosphere. I couldn't believe this is what my dream is literally about. Even though we lost, it was just like, wow. Imagine being on the opposite side to that. I feel like that's a feeling that I always chase. And those type of moments, they kind of keep you motivated and hungry for trying to make yourself feel that emotion yourself in the future.
He did mention the other football teams that were asked about in that clip, but I chopped them out because no one cares.
Oh, good.
About Anfield and Old Trafford. But
he said there was shit anyway, didn't he?
But it was interesting hearing him there in the last sort of 5 or 10 seconds of that clip, not quite knowing what words to fall back on. And it felt a little bit like it would have just been easier and he might have saved himself a bit of time if he said, I'd love to play for Leeds. Because that's what I took out of it.
Why was Pat Bamford interviewing him as well? It did sound a bit like Pat.
I didn't know.
I've looked at it. I think it must have been the Joffrey late winner game that he played at that he's discussing there, which was an unreal atmosphere when that went in. You know, when Rafa went round the keeper and knocked it back and they'd equalised about 30 seconds before.
Yeah.
That was good.
Mm.
I think that is pretty close to what the kids call, I believe, a come and get me plea. I think that is him laying it on the line. He said there that he's motivated to feel that atmosphere more, and he can do it every other week if he comes to us. So I think we've offered, is it 7 million, which doesn't sound like a particularly big fee. So yeah, take it and come and play with us. I'm all for it.
Yeah, and it feels like there's potentially a deal there to be done because I suspect Leeds have not leaked this from our side. Maybe it's come from the Norwich side because they want to start a bidding war, force the money upwards. But these things rarely make it into the public domain unless there is something to be done, I suppose.
Mm. It seemed like quite a sensible replacement. Probably not as high a ceiling as Somerville, but also a very good player at this level. And I guess you can worry about next season if and when we go up. But yeah, I would take him. It seems quite an obvious bit of business.
Yeah. Where do you go to on it? It's not our money, but where do you go to on him?
7.2 million. I'd grind him down. I'd fax a new bid over putting it up by £10 every time.
Have we discussed, I don't think we've done it on the show, but I might have told you in the office before, on FIFA 24, EA 24, you can do that when you're in transfer negotiations. If you are trying to buy a player for, let's say, 40 million quid, and they go, no, that falls short of our valuation. We want 60 million quid. If you go 40 million and £1 and keep putting your bids up by £1, you can get them within about 2 or 3 quid normally, maybe a £5 maximum. Because you're doing the act of increasing your bids. So maybe we could take that same approach into this with Norwich.
Yeah, and just say please more as well. Could you please accept it? Go on. But go on.
Question is, do you want him?
Yeah. I think it seems quite sensible. He was good, wasn't he? I'm sure he's played well against us in the past. Yeah,
I think so. And he would fit the kind of player that Somerville is and was for us. I'm assuming he is the kind of player that has the homegrown status as well, because he'll have just been in English football for his life. So I think it all works. I have no idea what to pay for footballers anymore though. So 7 million, even though I said it sounds quite modest, you don't want to go too much above that just in case it doesn't work out. But yeah, I'd take him.
I mean, they only gave us like 3 million quid for Robert Snodgrass. So they should really accept this and be thankful.
Payback time.
Yeah, definitely.
Ryan Kent, of course, was linked after we discussed it on the show recently, and we said that one just kind of needs to happen now so it can stop being talked about, even if we never play him.
Just get him in. Give him a high squad number and let him train with the kids. Did that just come about because we mentioned it? Because we didn't suggest there was any actual link or that there had been any interest from the club or from the player, and then it seems to have just been reported this week.
Yeah, is this the Danny Welbeck thing all over again?
Well, maybe, yeah. We just have to mention his name and it became something, but no, let's not.
Are we in for Welbeck again?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, I saw him at Ferrybridge Services this morning, actually.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
Which direction was he heading towards? Elland Road?
He had his boots on. He was clip-clopping about and he was asking directions to Thorpe Arch.
Yeah.
So, said something about a medical.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Get on that one then, clickbait sites. Jordan James, 20-year-old central midfielder, Welsh as well, so tick that box. Playing at Birmingham at the minute. He scored a few goals from midfield for Birmingham, who were obviously relegated last season. They're chucking a bit of cash around, so you wonder if they need to balance the books somehow there.
The problem is I don't know if he's any good, Jordan James.
Well, he's got 2 first names, so by rights he should end up at Bournemouth.
This is true. Do you want him? Say yeah?
Probably.
I do think we maybe need a little bit more in central midfield.
Definitely.
So, fine. Yeah, let's give him 2.
We've also been linked to Dejan, and forgive me for mispronouncing this probably, Ljubicic, the 26-year-old Cologne central midfielder, Austrian international. I'm sure Verber's told him all about the great welcome you get at Elland Road.
I'd prefer him to Jordan James purely because if Jordan James does come in, then Dan James is going to have a D in front of his shirt on the back there, and I just don't fancy that. Aesthetically, I don't fancy it.
Right. Could we go for DJ and JJ? That sounds quite cool.
Yeah. Or just LSB on his back.
Yeah.
We do have a number 23. Because you could go Jordan 23 as well, like a little Michael Jordan tribute.
Yeah. Although,
probably do.
did you notice as well from the club's socials in the last week or two that Dan James has now acquired the name Harry Potter, the nickname Harry Potter, because he's got the scar on his head, or he's a magician, one of the two. Hugo Bueno, 21-year-old Wolves left-back, Spain. He's been linked, been poo-pooed a bit. Our local reporters have been saying that probably ain't going to happen. He's in their plans, but said to be interested anyway.
I mean, fine, yeah, we'll have him too, I suppose.
Do you want them all?
It seems like we should have him on loan and they should pay all his wages. That'd be what I'd fax that through as the first offer.
I'd go for that.
99%.
Yeah.
98.
I think we probably need another left back
just
to kind of be in there somewhere, especially if Verber's undecided about where he's going to be. And I'm not entirely sure about his credentials, Verber as a left back anyway. So I think to get this kid in sounds good. We said a few weeks ago on this show that at the time of recording, this was before Somerville had gone, we probably needed another 2 players. And so because he's gone, I think we probably need 3.
Right.
And I'd take a left back, central midfielder and a winger. Now I'd do the deal now.
It's exactly what Farker's been talking about as well, isn't it? He's been saying the fee for Somerville won't all go on one player, but if they can spread it around a few.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? How we sort of said what we said at the end of last season is potentially happening here, where we'll lose a couple of really talented players. But overall, I don't feel at this stage any pessimism towards it particularly, because I sort of think, well, yeah, Bogle is probably a better right back than Archie Gray. He just isn't as good a player overall. But if it can work in a season, you just needed to work once, don't you, across the season and actually get out of this godforsaken thing, so you don't have to sell all your players again the next summer.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm the same as you. Like, looking at the division, it's. I mean, we can do this in the preview show later in the week, but yeah, it doesn't feel as strong. Certainly doesn't. And so we had Ali Maxwell on from Not the Top 20 podcast. They've released their 1 to 24 predictions for the Champo, and they've called, I think, the championship winner correct like 4 years out of the last 5. I think the only one they got wrong, guess who? But they've spoiler alert, they've called us for top. So it'd be interesting to see. That's the outside view. It'd be interesting to see whether that optimism is more widely matched among the wider Leeds fan base. But again, we'll deal with it properly later in the week. But I sort of feel pretty happy about it, and the state of the squad, it needs people adding to it. But then I started dipping into some Portsmouth forums last night, and they're not optimistic. There's some sort of wild optimism style predictions of we'll get hammered for 80 minutes and pinch a 1-0 kind of stuff.
Right, okay.
But I think there's a lot of realism of like, we're weaker than we were last year. We're a mid-table League One team. So if that's the sort of standard of opposition week to week, then that'd be fine for me.
At least if Red Bull do take over and I need a new team to support, it sounds like Portsmouth would be perfect for me, that kind of misery.
I do wonder if we were to get promoted at a canter this season, that whether we'd enjoy it.
Nah, we would. It'd be great.
Of course we would.
I'd absolutely love it.
It'd be great, wouldn't it? So that's the final summer roundup, I think, unless we've got anything else to add to all this. It's all looking okay, subject to what happens in the next few days, few weeks, I suppose. Matteo
Joseph, hamstring, out for 6 months.
Don't say that.
No, he'll be fine. He's young, isn't he?
Don't say that.
He is young.
No, that's correct.
That isn't going to change anytime soon.
I just felt that was too. It was too. I don't believe in jinxes, but that felt too jinxy to me.
Yeah, something shifted over there with Dan Moylan.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I don't like the aura you've brought back from Poland.
Okay, sorry about that.
You've done me dirty there.
At least Pat's fit.
You made me wobble. You made me emotionally wobble. Right, yeah, we'll wrap up the summer roundup there for today. Look out for our. We've got a guide to coming out tomorrow. This is Wednesday as we speak, which is about the AC Milan game in the rain. Champions League. Speaking of the Champions League, and yeah, we're going to do our season preview and predictions on Thursday, and a new show is coming. Remember that little bald Scottish fella? Remember him?
Oh yeah.
I think he went off to do a newsletter of some description.
Got a wig and went off to be an agent in France, didn't he?
I think he's like Marseille's like press agent.
That's it, something like that. Yeah,
it's definitely worth checking out the Marseille feed for Felipe. He definitely looks like him. So rather than trying to replace Phil Hay, not going to do that, are we?
Nope.
Can't do that.
Lots of people are going to have to share the load.
Basically that, yeah. So coming up this week, we've got Johnny Cooper from Opta, who's going to look at the new season and maybe reflect on last season as well, where we fell short, maybe explain why we got rid of Glenn Kamara, that sort of thing. He's coming in to do a show. We're going to record that tomorrow. That's going to be coming out on Friday. The match ball returns after the Portsmouth game at the weekend. You looking forward to that?
I am. I'm really looking forward to actual football starting.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yeah, and then the new show is called The West Stand. So it's going to be full of people who sort of notionally would sit in the West Stand. So we've got Johnny, who's a statistician, journalists. Graham Smith is coming in. Have you heard of that guy?
Not Phil, is he?
And he's not Phil.
He's not Phil, but okay, we'll see.
Yeah, and then Tony DeRigo's coming in back end of next week.
Also not Phil.
Not Phil, but
he's bald. As is Graham. Is this only bald men? Johnny Cooper's also bald.
And we've got, Baron Cross as well from Leeds Live. He's going to be coming in the week after. So look out for all that in your feed.
We'll shave him before he comes in.
Just pin him down. Poor Baron. But yeah, look out for all that. It's coming in your feed. Look out for the new show, The West Stand. Member show coming out this weekend. And we will catch you in a bit. We'll see you soon.
The Square Ball Podcast.